Hello friends, this is Worm, and today I wanted to talk about subclass synergizing perks and really the problem with these perks in Destiny 2. But of course, we should talk about what subclass synergizing perks are for those of y'all who may not be aware, but these are the perks that synergize directly with our subclasses. Perks like Incandescent, Heal Clip, Destabilizing Rounds, Chill Clip, Hatchling, anything that has, these subclass verbs built into the name is a subclass synergizing perks. And these perks are wildly popular on any weapon they come on. I mean, seriously, like take a look at like Nullify, for example. Nullify, which is the new raid pulse rifle, comes with Heal Clip Incandescent. Most of the people that I see on social media that are chasing god rolls are posting screenshots of their Heal Clip Incandescent rolls on Nullify, or they're posting, how that's the role that they want and stuff like that. And that's just one example in a sea of other examples that you can possibly get. But the reason why is because those two perks synergize very well. And I think that there's a problem with these subclass synergizing perks for two reasons. The first reason is because just flat out they synergize with subclasses. Like that automatically puts them a leg up above the rest. But the other issue that I see with these subclass synergizing perks is their overall potency is really strong. I mean, seriously, take a look at Volt Shot, for example. Volt Shot is the best ad clearing weapon perk in the game. Like, you can't beat Volt Shot. Firefly, no comparison. Dragonfly, no comparison. Rampage, no comparison, because Volt Shot, you hit one target with Volt Shot active and it will zap everything else in the room. And so we're going to talk about each of those. But for starters, I want to talk about the first issue, which is just the fact that they synergize with subclasses. And this is a huge part of why these perks are so popular, because Volt Shot is good, yes, but if I pair it with Arc, there is a potential for me to make 3 orbs of power and create 3 ionic traces from getting 2 kills. Like, seriously, that is an insane amount of power built into one weapon perk. Okay, and yes, I know somebody's gonna argue, well, you have to use Arc, blah blah blah, but I mean, we always have to have some subclass equipped. There's no option to not have a subclass equipped, right? So we want to have Void on. Well, we can put on whatever weapons we want, but why would we not want to use something with maybe repulsor brace destabilizing rounds? So we can get a chain of void overshields and a chain of volatile explosions, and those volatile explosions can build into things like controlled demolition, for example, which would give us health back and stuff. So there's so many synergies with them that it kind of pushes everything else down. Like, yeah, fast reloads are nice, but this is not the days of D1 vanilla. Back in D1 vanilla, reload perks were everything. You go in the Crucible, raiding, anything like that, your third column outlaw. That's what everybody wanted. Okay, we have moved on a long time from that, and we have a variety of things that amplify our reload. That outlaw is no longer a necessary weapon perk. Right, why would I choose Outlaw when I can now get Heal Clip? And every time I reload, I get health regeneration. Like, that's a huge deal. Like, these synergies, the synergies within the subclass really push out the reason for using other perks. Right, I want to use Heal Clip, not only because it heals. Like, the healing aspect is very good, but also I can put on Nullify. We'll use Nullify as our example again. I can put on a Solar Reloader mod, and I can put on Flared Magwell, and I have an outlaw speed reload. Maybe not quite outlaw speed, but it's a very comparable speed to outlaw, and I'm getting that health regeneration benefit on top of it. So how do we address the actual issue of synergizing well with subclasses? Well, this is kind of part of the problem. It's not that these perks are so insanely good. Like, you could tone the perks down a lot. Like, you could make Volt Shot, for example, deal substantially less electric damage to other targets. People are still going to use it because it synergizes with that subclass. And this is not really a problem with these perks in particular. It's a problem that all the other weapon perks in the game, they don't synergize. And in order to make these subclass synergizing perks seem less appealing in comparison to something like maybe Rampage or Kill Clip, the only way I can see this happening is if Bungie actually gives these other non-synergizing perks like Rampage and Kill Clip substantial buffs to their power. right? And I don't necessarily know if that's a good idea. Like, I don't want to say that, you know, kill clip should be 50% or rampage should stack up to 66% or anything like that. But at the same time, like, that's kind of a direction that we might need to go in order to bring these other perks back into the fold, right? Because again, like, until then, people are going to pick subclass synergizing perks, specifically because they synergize with subclass. Okay, well, again, we'll talk about lethality here in just a second. But another idea that I thought of is, when it comes to all other perks that are not subclass synergizing, Bungie could find a way to make them synergize with our subclass. For example, Outlaw, right? Outlaw gives you faster reload speed when you get a precision kill. Pretty good, but again, we have all these reloader mods and stuff like that, so it's like, okay, not really worth it. But what if Outlaw also created an orb of power if the energy on whatever weapon matched your subclass? So if you're using, let's say, a Waking Vigil, right? Or we're using Waking Vigil and it has Outlaw and whatever other perk, you know, and again, I know Outlaw is in the third column, and most of these super strong perks are in the fourth column, but just bear with me for a second. But let's say Outlaw. Now, if the weapon's damage type matched your subclass type or matched your super type, it would create an orb of power every time you got a precision kill. Like, that to me would be a huge boon to the weapon perk, right? Because then, yeah, I could go with, you know, Heal Clip, which is a good perk, don't get me wrong, or I can go with Outlaw. I can have a, you know, an innervation mod on my boots, or recuperation, I think. I can't remember what it is. It doesn't matter. I can have that mod on my boots. I get a precision kill. It creates an orb of power. I can run to that orb of power. Then I can get my armor mods going, you know, my armor charge, you know, my solar, for example, solar weapon surge going. I can get that health regeneration back and get a chunk of super. Like, that would cause me to really want to move more towards, you know, using a perk like Outlaw. But again, has to match my subclass type. Like, if it's on an arc weapon, it has to match. I have to be using an arc subclass. If I get it on a void weapon or a stasis weapon, I have to be using a void subclass or a void super, and a stasis super. And I say supers because, of course, prismatic and all that stuff. But that's the only other way I can really see the subclass synergizing perks like not be quite so popular, is by allowing other perks to have at least a little bit of subclass synergy. Like, I'm not saying we need necessarily the level of Volt Shot, but just something else that would allow us to, you know, say, hey, this weapon now is going to synergize with my subclass. So it will allow me to do, you know, X, Y, and Z a little tiny bit better. And it kind of brings me away from using that standard incandescent heal clip combo or chill clip headstone combo, whatever. But the other issue, of course, is the actual lethality of these perks, because these perks generally are incredibly lethal. Volt Shot is the poster child of an insane ad clear perk. Okay, the ability to jolt a target is already really strong. Then you can continuously damage that target, shock everything around it, get a ton of kills with Volt Shot. I mean, Volt Shot outclasses basically every other ad clear perk in the game. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Volt Shot, in my opinion, is... I can't think of a perk that is better suited for ad clear than Volt Shot is, even in high level content. And again, you can also pair it with your subclass synergy. Now, in order to fix the actual lethality problem, I think that we would have to look at potentially some nerfs to these perks. And really the biggest thing that I could say, or the biggest nerf that I could see happening that Bungie does, is just nerfing the ability to proc these perks consistently. Okay, and a prime example of this is the stabilizing rounds. Stabilizing rounds is the void perk, where if you get a kill, it causes a volatile, or it spreads volatility to other targets around there. For whatever reason, this perk has a 4-second cooldown between those volatile abilities, causing volatility. What if every single one of these perks, what if Volt Shot, what if Incandescent, what if Headstone, Hatchling, all this, what if all these other perks had that same ability? Like, what if they all had that same cooldown? And I know a lot of people wouldn't like it. I would not like it. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't like it if Volt Shot was put on a cooldown. But that's the only other way I can see Bungie reducing their value, at least by a little bit. Like, it's still going to be incredible. Like Volt Shot, for example, even if you can only proc it once every 5 seconds, it's still going to be an incredible perk. Incandescent is still going to be an incredible perk. Headstone, still going to be an incredibly powerful perk. Now it's just on an internal or 5-second cooldown. Like that's literally the only way I can see Bungie potentially fixing it. But with that being said, like that's the problem with the subclass synergizing perks. Again, one more time, they are problematic because they synergize with the subclass just existing how they are, and synergizing with the subclass, big issue. But the other thing is, of course, their lethality, because subclass verbs are incredibly lethal. Jolt is lethal, Scorch is lethal, Volatility lethal, Frozen, blah blah blah, all this other stuff. But anyways, with that being said, I want to hear your thoughts on the subclass synergizing perks. How would you personally change them? Would you nerf them, or would you buff everything else? Just tell me that in the comments. Of course, if you like today's video, do me a favor, drop a like, helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content, guys. Do me a favor, watch the videos you see here on the end screen, because for whatever reason YouTube thinks you'll like them. I'll see you all the next time. Bye for now.